Just
I'll
let me take you
take you
to
to a
a
better
better
place.
place.
Stephanie's
Steph and Anya's media review. Oh, wow. I fear that was not very synced.
I actually feel like it might be more synced in
Okay.
post-production. We'll see.
We'll see. Anyway, hi, welcome to Steph and Anya's media review, where we review literally anything, including all the Trolls movies.
Yes, I like them, and they
Yeah,
were a
spoiler alert.
request.
Spoiler alert, we did like them. And thank you to the person who requested that we do these.
Yes.
It's actually been quite delightful, to be honest. I was not expecting it. I was not expecting to enjoy them as much as I have, so
No,
I'll give you that.
exactly. We've had too much fun watching these movies, so
Watching Trolls, the Trolls trilogy.
I mean, okay,
Um,
I didn't watch the second one, but
oh,
I watched the
damn!
third one.
Spoiler alert.
I've watched the third one twice, so I feel like it makes up for it.
Yeah, you've watched. By that logic, you've watched 3 Trolls movies 3 times, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that math. It's mathing somehow.
It is. I agree.
But yes, so obviously today we are recording and reviewing Trolls Band Together, aka Trolls 3. It's one of those ones that is a fairly recent movie. It came out in November of 2023. So yeah, I guess we'll jump right into it. Obviously, Anya, there was no like historical background with this one.
No.
But did you hear much about it when it was coming out? Like, I guess I'm interested in knowing what your kind of core experience with this one was.
Yeah, so I feel like this one I had the most interaction, I guess, with the movie on social media. Like when
Mhm.
I NSYNC getting back together, that I remember that massively on TikTok. Everyone was talking about it, and then after the movie come out, everyone's like, "Oh, like, I went and saw Trolls to see NSYNC get back together," and like that kind of stuff. That really drove, I think, a lot of the older audience this time round, or at least the millennials and Gen Zers to like really
Mhm.
get into this movie was because of NSYNC, and I thought that's kind of like how I knew of this movie. So yeah,
Yeah,
it was very interesting.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess for me, very similar. It was through social media, but not so focused on NSYNC. Um,
Oh.
as so much it was like I seem to have. I mostly saw it on TikTok, of course. Um, but it was mostly, I think, because I see a lot of those accounts that just post like 50 billion movie clips, which doesn't seem that legal, but TikTok still pushes them out.
Yep.
And I think that's how I kind of got exposed to this Trolls movie. If I'm remembering correctly, I saw clips of it. Um, I did hear that NSYNC was back together, but it wasn't like a key focus for, I think, the content that I was being served. I think for me, it was more like, oh, like it's a fun, like animated movie and it's very musical. And oh, there's like these really weird clay creatures. I don't know what Velvet and Veneer are called, but I was like, oh, like I think for me, it was more like the musical and like the theater part of it that is why I was served it
Yeah.
potentially. Um, I think, yeah, also just like being able to watch a full movie on TikTok, even when it's still in cinemas. That's how I watched this movie the first time round.
Yeah.
And
Very
you
fair.
know what? I was, yeah, because I hadn't at that point watched Trolls 1 or 2. So I was like, I had no idea what I was getting into, but I got invested very quickly. The story of these little troll brothers, I guess, is what drew me in. So I think that's really interesting from a storytelling point of view. And we'll get into it shortly, but I think, yeah, it was really weird in hindsight watching it without context of like who these characters were. I think it's a real testament that I was able to actually get the gist of what each character was about without having seen anything, literally anything else about these movies.
Mm. Yeah. So maybe we should go into a little synopsis of the plot,
A little
maybe.
synopsis?
Say what
Totally.
happens. So I'll go through the quick one, I think.
Mm.
So Poppy discovers at a wedding of her best friend that Branch, her boyfriend, now boyfriend,
Yes.
has brothers, and they were actually her favorite boy band, Brozone.
Frozone.
Yes, which by the way,
Whoa.
Branch in Brozone was literally a baby in a diaper, nappy, like
They redesigned Branch. I'm sorry.
yeah,
He's so much cuter in the movie, and then you look at Trolls 1 and that's like the most ugly baby I've ever seen.
so true. That baby went through some things.
He went through some trauma. I'm sorry, Branch.
Yeah, but so she discovers that, and also is discovered when one of the brothers goes to find Branch that another one of their brothers, Floyd, is kidnapped by a pair of untalented clay people who are stealing his talent. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Through siphoning it like a perfume.
It's actually really messed up. They've
It
got
really
him
is.
stuck in this little perfume bottle because trolls are obviously like tiny. So they've got him trapped in like this little, like he's a bug,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just like spraying him like this perfume, and it makes them like magically able to sing. And
Yeah.
that's how they become superstars, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. And so on their little journey to save Floyd, they also pick up their other brothers because they have to sing the perfect family harmony to break this bottle, because a diamond bottle can only be broken by the perfect family harmony, which is very, movie plot relevant, but
Yeah, right?
anyways, along the way, Poppy actually discovers she also has a secret sister, which, makes sense for this movie because this movie, its theme is families, and it
Yes.
shows happy families, destroyed families, toxic families, like the brother and sister, like the villains, and then
The villains who are siphoning
siphoning
poor
Floyd's
Floyd's energy.
yeah, and then obviously Branch and his brothers in the band, and then Poppy and her sister. And anyways, long story short, they save Floyd by the brink of his death, and then
Yeah.
as a little at the end, Branch reveals that Brozone was not the only band he was a part of. Okay, guys. Normally we can cover this up, but we can't today. We had a little technical difficulty, so we will jump back into where we'll think we're up to with our podcast, but little prior warning, our sentences may not smush together as nicely as I normally edit them to be. So
It was a bit of a stressful situation. I think we have it covered now.
yes, so we were talking about Branch having a second band named Kismet. And this is NSYNC getting back together, and they did this whole performance at the end of the movie, and then Brozone joins them, so they have like a little collab moment singing
Oh my
Better
God.
Place. Yeah.
It was actually like such a fun little moment though. I'm obsessed with these little guys. By little guys I mean trolls.
Yeah,
Just,
no. I'm obsessed with these little guys too.
I didn't think I'd get so attached to them, but I don't know. I think Brozone as a band, I like them quite a lot. We didn't really go too much into it, but essentially, obviously they're a big band. It's like when Branch is really little, and the issue is that they couldn't get the perfect family harmony originally, and so that's Branch kind of blames himself. But following a really horrific performance, all the older brothers leave. So you have John Dory, he's the oldest. He sets off, I think he goes to like the Neverglades or something. He goes on like an adventure. He's like an explorer type. Um, and then it's followed by Bruce, whatever you want to call him.
His name was Spruce, and he changed it to Bruce.
He becomes Bruce.
Yes.
And then you have Clay, who's he's meant to be the fun one, like the fun archetype in the boy band, but he's actually like very anxious and very pedantic about certain things, and he's
And
like,
he's
I'm
in a
not enjoying
sad
this.
He's in a sad book club.
Yeah. He's a bit of a nerd, to be honest with you. And so he leaves, and then Floyd ends up leaving to go on like a solo career. And that obviously leaves Branch all alone. And I don't know. I think the way they frame it is it's actually deeply upsetting when you think about like, okay, so all his brothers left him, and then his grandma got eaten. And so he was alone. That poor baby was all on his own.
I might need to rewatch the first movie again.
And then he turned grey because he was so depressed about it.
I mean, makes sense. Dude lost a lot in his life.
Yeah, right. Oh, but I think the five of them are quite interesting characters. I think ultimately for me, because they all kind of come together in order to save Floyd. Whereas like it's very clear, I think, that they wouldn't have come back together if there wasn't a good reason for doing so.
Yeah.
I don't know, I found it very compelling, very interesting. Again, that's very strange for me to say, given that it's Trolls 3.
No, but I think Trolls, while it is all happy and songs and all that, every movie has had a really important theme.
Yes.
And this movie tackles families and how not all families are the same. Some, don't talk to each other, some don't know about each other, some fight,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
some come together. So I thought that was like, it's really cool how each movie still follows a theme and it's strong, and so kids can learn from that too, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
I think it kind of gets you in by being bright and colorful and very, I think especially the first one, from what I remember, it was very like bright and colorful and seemingly very kid centric. Whereas I feel like from what remember seeing for this one, and for just like from what I've researched, it seemed a bit more broad in terms of like target audience, where they were trying to hit, as you said earlier, the millennial Gen Z, like the people who knew about NSYNC and could appreciate the reference, versus like the kids who may not, who definitely wouldn't have known what NSYNC even was, but they know about the concept of a boy band and can appreciate the family connection there.
Yeah. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about the cast for a second.
Yes.
So, majority of the people don't really stand out to me, but we will go through the cast of the Brozone and Kismet, because they're the new
Yes.
additions to the movie cast. So, John Dory was played by Eric Andre, Spruce by David Diggs, and Clay by Kid Cudi. But the character that really stands out to me is Floyd, who's played by Troye Sivan.
Troye Sivan.
When I was listening to the movie the first time, I did not pick that up.
Really?
And yeah, I didn't notice. Like, it just was like, oh, okay, it's a character. Like, I didn't click. And then I looked it up after with my research, and I was like, what?
That's Troye Sivan?
Are you kidding me? And so, and at the age we are, we know where Troye Sivan kind of came from YouTube.
Yes.
Is Australian. So, I don't know. I kind of really like that he's on this movie. I think it's really cool.
I was going to say, I think in terms of Brozone, I can kind of go into a bit more detail there, because I think it's really interesting that a lot of them are like musical theatre, like not even just Brozone, but I think a lot of like the extended cast. So you have Brozone, and then you have like Velvet and Veneer. and oh my god, I can't remember which one's Velvet and which one's Veneer. The guy is played by like another musical actor, Andrew Reynolds,
Mm.
who's been in like a ton of stuff. Like I would be very surprised if someone who is vaguely interested in musical theatre hasn't heard of something that he's been in. You have Daveed Diggs. I know him from I know him from Hamilton, but he's also been in a lot of other things as well. Eric Andre is like a comedian. I think it's really interesting to have like such a big variety, especially, I guess the way I'm seeing it is like they're not necessarily like A-list celebrities, which I found quite interesting. I think a lot of like animated movies tend to go for like A-list
Yeah.
actors, you know, your
Actors.
Chris Pratts and Ryan Reynolds and whatnot. But I think it was really interesting that they knew it was going to be such a musical centric movie and cast accordingly.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. And then we have Kismet.
Yes,
Kismet
we sure
Band,
do.
which is Branch's other band, who's actually played by all of NSYNC. So obviously Branch is
Yes.
Justin Timberlake, Ablaze is Joey, Hype, JC, Boom is Lance, and Tricky is Chris. So there you go.
And I
Fun.
want to say, I love the fact because essentially the reason that they got them back together is because Justin Timberlake is executive music producer on this movie. And I believe for all the Trolls movies. And they were like, we really want this to happen. And somehow they made it happen.
Yeah.
And allegedly their next goal is to get One Direction back together in Trolls 4. So
I mean, they should try. I mean,
I would love to see it, to be honest. I would be sad.
Logistically, it will be the only way that works. All of them are heavy in solo careers at the moment, but they can all record wherever in the world because
Exactly.
they all have traveling recording studios with them, I am sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Logistically, it can happen.
It could happen. Truly,
But
truly.
funny that you say that their next goal is One Direction, because I actually read somewhere online that they actually have a 7-movie plan for Trolls.
Okay, yeah, sure.
I'm pretty sure
Why not?
I wrote it down. Yeah, Justin Timberlake claimed in April of 2020 that 7 Trolls films were intended.
Oh my god, so we're not even halfway through the Trolls franchise.
I mean, I really hope not. I want 4 more movies.
Yeah. If we can get One Direction back in any of the remaining 4 movies, I'll be sat watching Trolls 4, 5, 6, and 7.
I think I'll be sat watching anyways, but you know,
I mean,
it would just be an added
with
bonus.
this podcast.
I mean, it's becoming our thing.
True. I wanted to quickly mention just on the boy band front, because obviously, as we said, that's quite a big part of the marketing and how it was able to kind of reach a bit of a broader audience than I think the previous 2 Trolls movies.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you've watched or listened to our other podcast episodes, you would know that Trolls 2 in particular was kind of it struggled a bit because of COVID and having to be released fully on streaming, where the release for this was a lot more traditional. It was in cinemas and then it was on streaming.
Yeah.
But obviously they they wanted to tap into a different audience, a broader audience, and their solution to that was boy bands, which is like kind of hitting that slightly older demo if you're looking at like who engages with boy bands and boy band content. And then you obviously have people who are nostalgic for older boy bands. So your NSYNCs, your One Directions,
Backstreet
even the
Boys.
Beatles, like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a quote from one of the producers on the movie, Gina Shea, I think her name is, who said, somehow boy bands are able to cut through all the noise and make you feel like they are singing right to you. And basically saying it's a perfect thematic ingredient to boost co-viewing appeal. So I think something that I noticed when I was watching Trolls 1 and 2 is that like there are a couple of jokes for like parents, which I think is really important in any kids movie, but I think ultimately it was catered towards kids. Whereas I think this one it was a bit more balanced. It was like the kids are having a laugh about like, I don't know, Branch doing something stupid.
Or
Um,
Branch being a baby, right?
yeah,
In the
yeah.
band,
Um,
yeah.
and then you also have like the parents who can laugh at the fact that like, oh my god, that's in sync. That's them. That's them
Yeah.
as trolls.
And
Like,
they had a few lines where they were just referencing all these different boy bands and in the
mhm.
way like, oh, we're going in one direction, blah 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 blah. And
Yes,
I
yeah.
thought that was hilarious. I loved that.
Like, yeah, I just found it really interesting. And it wasn't just so much in the marketing as it was like mostly in the movie as well. Like, obviously, they pushed Brozone.
Mhm.
Um, they did like a Spotify Wrapped for like Brozone. Like, they did a lot with them as like a group. But then I think ultimately it was like there was a lot of word of mouth discussion on this movie as well, which I think ultimately really helped it.
Yeah. I have some other little facts about the
Yeah,
movie.
love it.
So, the most interesting one I'll leave to last. So, a little fun fact about the production of the movie for anyone who
Mhm.
likes the production. It was animated with software called Moonray. I don't know what it is, but I thought it was interesting that we actually know what it was animated with. So
Yes.
there you go. Now, the movie also features multiple references to Justin Timberlake's earlier boy band career
Yes.
through Branch's hairstyles in the movie. So at points in the movie, Branch has his perm, which is a picture of him as a baby with a perm. He has a
Mhm.
braid, which his hair gets braided by Poppy's sister at one point. And then
Yes.
he also has frosted tips at the end of the movie, which is also, and I think is the most iconic Justin Timberlake boy band era
Truly.
hairstyle. So
Truly. I
that's a
have
little fun fact.
just a quote on that one from Gina Shea as well as
Oh
part of
yeah.
like the same article set, where it's kind of more of a commentary on meta humor. She says, it works on both levels, but I think it works best when kids are laughing for different reasons than the adults are. Branch with a perm is a funny image for kids because they have never seen Branch with that hair.
Yeah.
It's a funny image for parents because they remember Justin Timberlake having those curls and they know what it's a reference to. So it's like comedy at different levels
Yeah.
ultimately.
It is really good. But here's my most interesting fun fact, and it's actually the
Mhm.
streaming deal with this movie.
Mhm.
And we're actually still in the like in amongst this streaming deal, so it hasn't even finished yet.
Yes.
So, Universal has a deal with Netflix with a lot of their movies. So, with Trolls, I think they also had a deal with Peacock. So this is how they solved this deal. The first 4 months that the movie can be streamed, and this is after the cinematic release, Peacock has it for 4 months. Then for the next 10 months, Netflix has the rights to the movie. And then after 10 months, Peacock gets another 4 months with the movie. That's insane.
Interesting.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And it's all to do like because Netflix have also I like from watching the movie on Netflix, you notice things. They have
Mm.
these Netflix specials of trolls as well. Like
Yes.
so,
Yeah.
they clearly have like an affiliation with trolls. So it's just
Mm.
interesting
Mm.
that this deal's
See,
going on.
I think for me as like a consumer, I would find it really frustrating. Like if I had, well, for example, like if I wanted to watch Trolls 3, or like if I was a parent whose kid wanted to watch Trolls 3, and I only had Netflix and I knew it had been on Netflix, but it was on Peacock at the minute. I
Mm.
understand obviously like why they would need to have those streaming deals in place because it is such a web of I guess like different services and different platforms and whatnot. But I'm like, can we just make it simpler? Can we just
Yes, please.
can we just go back to how it was when streaming services first became a thing?
You know what though? I do have a little bone to pick with Netflix because they have the first and the third movie and they don't have the second.
Yeah. Like, where is it? Tell me.
And side note, they have How to Train Your Dragon right now, but not the
Mm.
first one. They have the second
What?
and the third. I just don't get it. It's rude.
Just keep it consistent. Just have it all on one platform or don't have it at all,
Yeah.
to be honest.
If you're gonna have a movie from a franchise, get the whole franchise.
Exactly. Exactly.
You just make us angry. But yeah, that was my fun facts from
Yeah, love it.
this marketing. So
Yes.
there's a lot actually.
There is a lot.
There
Yeah.
is a lot. So I wanted to do like a little shout out to their promo songs for this little
Mhm.
marketing run that are from the movie. So here are their titles: Let's Get Married, Brozone's Back, Hustle Dimension, and Better Place, which obviously everyone knows Better Place. But
Yeah.
yeah, I thought that was cute. So partnerships. They had quite a few partnerships, and
Mhm.
we spoke about this previously in the last Trolls episode as well, how they had partnerships with a lot of different brands, and they did that again with Trolls 3. They were like with Shine Water Beverages, ICEE, Shake Shack, Southwest Airlines, Candy, which I don't know what that is. Just the
Something
brand's named
American.
Candy.
Yeah.
Yes. Camp Store and Puma. So they had quite
Mm.
a variety of different
Yeah.
brands.
Yeah.
So that
I
was
think
interesting.
the one that I actually did see a little bit of this because I think again, this is solely on TikTok, so there was a lot of organic buzz, a lot of word of mouth. But I
Mhm.
saw a lot of memes about I don't even know what the brand was. It had like nachos though. It was like I would assume like a fast food place that and it was like all the different members of Brozone were like in charge of a different thing. So it was like John Dory on the nachos.
Oh my god, I love that.
And it was kind of like yeah, everyone had like a different thing or a different thing that they were affiliated with. So yeah, they're all about like pairing them up with like different products.
I think that's cool.
Yeah. The other thing on the IC or just
Yeah.
ICEE,
Yep.
I want to give a shout out to some of these flavors because they're crazy.
Yes.
You could be sipping Poppylicious Pink Watermelon,
Hmm.
Branches Blue Raspberry Harmony, Viva's Fantastamazing Lemonade, Tiny's White Cherry Sparkle, or Troll's Tastic Red Cherry. I'm like, that actually sounds delicious. I can't
Yeah.
lie.
I will have a
Actually,
poppy, whatever that was. It sounded good.
Poppylicious thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
A
Poppylicious
poppylicious.
Pink Watermelon.
Yep, I'll have that. Thank you very much.
I'll have one of those, please.
Where can I get it?
Yeah.
No, but actually, another little interesting thing was
Mm.
in the toy space. So
Mm.
previously, before this movie, Hasbro had been making the toys for Trolls, all the toys branded, all the Trolls branded toys. Yes,
Yeah.
but for this movie, Hasbro lost those rights, and Mattel gained them. So little
Ooh.
toy war there. Thought that was interesting as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Then they have the Trolls Holiday in Harmony special that also aired around the same time. So I know that's
Mhm.
different voice actors, the smaller projects change the voice
Yeah.
actors and stuff. Still same franchise, still counts. Now, interestingly, books. So
Okay.
they had 2 books released with this movie. So there's The Art of DreamWorks Trolls Band Together. So it's like
Mhm.
the art.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. And then they have Trolls Band Together, the junior novelization. So I don't know if you guys know, but movies are written into books for kids so they can
What
read them too.
are they?
Yes,
That's crazy.
I know. The video home release was in mid-Jan 2024, along with the sing-along. I kind of want it. I
Kind of
want
want it.
I want to
Yeah.
watch the sing-along. I want to sing along.
Oh my god.
So one more thing actually before I get to the social media.
Mhm.
So apps and video games. There's two video games with trolls that came out around the movie as promotion.
Yeah.
Trolls Remix Rescue and DreamWorks All-Star Kart Racing. So like
Oh, wow.
characters were on the kart racing one, and then I don't know what the Trolls Remix Rescue is, but it sounds fun. And
Damn. That
I
I
know
kinda
they
want that.
yeah, but they're both across like all the different. They were on like PC, PlayStation, Xbox, mobile. Like they were
Yeah,
across all
everything.
everything to get everywhere. So they really have their span. Like their wings are spread, fingers and
Yeah.
lots of pies for this
Actually I actually
advertising.
have one other thing that's not social media
Okay.
centric, I guess.
Yep.
And that is that they were the first movie studio, or DreamWorks was the first movie studio to launch a brand campaign specifically designed for the exosphere. Now, for
Ooh.
those who don't know what that is, it is the sphere that is in Las Vegas. It's huge. I don't know how else to describe it, but it's like fully programmable LEDs that are basically right within the city. So basically, you get like a lot of commuters, you get a lot of traffic, you get a lot of foot traffic as well. People are just, you can see it from anywhere essentially. It's huge. I don't know how big specifically, I don't have
It's
that.
massive. I've seen
It's
the TikToks.
massive.
And the
Yes,
LEDs are on the outside,
outside.
everyone. So like
Yeah.
there's this idle face that just goes like so
Yeah,
I will recommend if you're listening to the podcast to watch the video of that so you understand.
please.
But
Otherwise, it's just dead air.
yes,
Um,
but very
but
cool.
yes, so they did a quote unquote bespoke marketing campaign um, using the Exosphere's larger than life canvas. It became the premium platform for brands trying to tell their stories on an unparalleled scale. Um,
Ah,
and oh no, here we go. The Exosphere consists of approximately 1.2 million LED pucks across 580,000 square feet of surface. Each puck contains 48 individual LED diodes, and each diode is capable of displaying 256 million different colors.
oh my goodness.
So um, it's crazy. It's a really big brand awareness piece. Um, Obviously, trying to reach as many people as possible. I would imagine that it costs a crazy amount to
Yeah.
do. Um, but hey, people really liked this movie from what I've seen. I saw a lot about it, so I would assume
Yeah.
it worked.
I would too. Like this was such a good movie, so why wouldn't it?
Mm.
Now the social kind of voice. Let's talk about
Mhm.
it. So, I did want to mention the insync TikTok craziness because that side of TikTok popped off. I saw every second video at the time being like about NSYNC getting back together. So organic kind of reach for this
Yes.
movie just skyrocketed because of NSYNC. So that's a massive, massive
Yeah.
shout out. But across their social media, they had lots of like organic stuff that they were posting, the actual official Trolls account.
Mhm.
And they reached more than 27.5 million people through their activity across Meta, or the Meta products and X. They had 2.7 million engagements and 69.3 million impressions overall at the time of when they recorded this. So last year, probably.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, which
but
is insane.
insane numbers. And so you think about all this reach, all they've done. You can't even quantify how many
Yeah,
people they've reached at that point. Like it's just so many.
because if you think about it, like, looking at social media only, that doesn't necessarily take into account things that people have seen offline. So
Exactly.
exosphere, or like I would assume they did billboards, potentially like TV ads, I would expect.
They had their Spotify ad.
Yeah, audio, like
Like
I would
so
assume that they
much.
used the full like every media channel that they could activate, I would expect that they did for this
Yeah.
campaign.
Yeah. So props to that.
Crazy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Did you have anything extra to add, Steph?
Not from me. Honestly, the only thing that I had was for NSYNC as well, just to bookend kind of our little discussion.
Yeah.
They did a takeover for the film. They took over SoFi Stadium. They had a festival called Trolls Fest.
Ooh.
And they also made an appearance at the LA special screening. I don't know what that entails, but I'm like, that's pretty good. I don't remember. I think it's just called Digital Media Management is the company that kind of looked after the marketing for this one.
Yeah.
But I can see that, like, obviously they were looking to really drive engagement. Obviously, it's more just like trying to get as many people to watch the movie. So you want to drive chatter, you want to drive hype, buzz.
Yeah.
And they, you know what? They clearly did.
They did it, and they did it well.
They did indeed.
They did, because everyone knew about it. I actually knew of this movie.
Yes. Yeah.
So I guess that proves it.
Yeah. I think also worth mentioning too is that it's like perfect release timing too, because it's like whether you're in the northern or southern hemisphere, it's the holiday season. It's
Yep.
Christmas. It's almost Christmas, like end of year. People are looking to see movies, looking to spend time with their families. So this being such a big family-centric movie, I think really aided it, in addition to all this, I guess, additional support from the media and additional activity.
Mm.
How many times can I say additional?
Additional. I won't get caught in a loop, I promise.
Thank God.
Yay. But I think that's all we've had for
Yes.
Trolls 3.
Yeah.
Steph, are we doing our favourite segment today?
We sure are.
Ooh!
Get ready for
Fan
fanfiction.
fiction!
In case you are new here, most weeks, depending on what the content of the episode is on, we will bring a fan fiction to the table, read off the tags, the summary, and just give a bit of a breakdown about what the fic is about. We have very high standards for fan fiction. So if there's nothing that meets our standard, we just won't do it.
Or
However,
if it goes against our one rule.
well, yes, our one actual rule is no RPF, no real person fan fiction,
Yep.
because that's just weird and messed up, and
Exactly.
you don't do that.
No, thank you. We're
Anyway.
good.
Trolls. So, oddly enough, just to kind of kick us off on the fan fiction front, it looks like a lot of Trolls fanfics were written off the back of this movie.
Oh.
A lot of, I think, on AO3 at least, a lot of these were published shortly after this movie released, which I guess shows like that it was a bit more compelling for an older audience. You know, those are the ones who are more inclined to write fanfic rather than the younger children who are just there for a good time.
Oh my god.
So I thought that was really interesting.
Sorry, I'm sure it's a fic, but I just thought of it and I haven't looked or searched up these troll fics. But what if, and I'm sure one has been written, that like One Direction are turned into trolls and the only way they can go back to their real selves is that they they have to sing together and get the band back together.
They have to make the perfect band harmony.
Yes. I'm sure
I've
that's
not
a
seen
fic.
that one, but I'm sure it's there.
I'm sure it's there. I'll find it.
Anyway, this is a branch-centric fan fiction called You with the Sad Eyes. I will say, I'm not sure the writing of this is really for me, but I liked the premise, is why I'm
Okay.
bringing it to the table. I love a
Okay.
good hurt comfort fic. I'll say
Ah,
that much.
you like to tear
Um,
my heart up, don't you, Steph?
always, always. Anyway, this story is written by an author called Salty Yagi, I think is their name. Um, and the summary is as follows. Quote, "You were grey for months," end quote. Floyd questions, his voice coming out strained and breathless. The immediate older brother felt disgusted with himself. He'd been so sure Grandma could take care of him. He supposed she had, but how the hell had none of them ever thought about what would happen during the yearly solstice? Branch looks to the ground, paws rubbing and fiddling with themselves in a way to release excess emotions. Quote, "Years, actually. 20 years," end quote, he replies numbly. So, in case you haven't listened or watched our first Trolls episode, Trollstice is the time of year where the Bergens, who are like more traditional, folklory trolls, they would go in and eat the pop trolls. So um, that's where Branch's grandma got eaten. Bless up, R.I.P. Queen.
Oh my goodness.
Um, but yeah, so this is a hurt comfort fic where basically the brothers come down to Branch's little bunker. And Branch is a little bit awkward because obviously he hasn't seen them in so long and doesn't really, he doesn't want to say how he actually feels, which is he's a bit resentful, as I think is very understandable. But they start talking about their grandma and being like, well, she took care of you at least. And Branch is like, she did not. She actually died shortly after all of you left.
Oh my goodness.
Um, and they all freak out because like Branch initially doesn't tell them, and it's like, he has like a bit of a panic attack, a bit of anxiety, and he goes off on the brothers and being like, "You left me alone for 20 years. No one has helped me. I've had to deal with this all on my own." Um, and it actually ends like very sad. Oh no, there's another chapter. I just didn't see the
Oh,
next chapter, but I was
I was
like,
gonna
oh my God,
say.
it ends on how could they ever fix this?
Oh, wow. That's a strong end.
But yeah, basically I haven't looked at the next chapter, but I would assume is kind of the fallout of the quote in the summary where he says like I've been grey for years, 20 years actually. Um which I'm like, oh, the angst. How could they ever fix this? How do you get over that?
Poor
We may
Branch.
never know. Yeah.
Oh, what a
Anyway.
sad little fic.
Okay, wait, I need to fix it because I'm like, what's the ending of it? Okay, okay. They have a freak out, and I it looks like they become buddies again.
Oh,
Oh,
yay.
They tell Branch they love him. Oh,
Oh, that's sweet.
and then it ends with Branch and Poppy talking, and they say that they love each other too. So it ends nicely. We're all
Aw.
good.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, yeah. It was
Well
like a
done,
really
Jake.
highly kudosed fic, and I can understand why. I like the concept a lot.
Yeah, no, that was really sweet. I love that.
Yeah.
And they addressed the hard questions.
Yeah, exactly. How could they ever fix that?
Exactly.
But they're gonna try, and I
They
appreciate
are.
that.
Yes. But I do think that wraps us up for today with that little great fic at the end. Um, Final thoughts, Steph, on Trolls 3.
I really liked Trolls 3. I didn't expect to be honest, but it's a good movie. It's a fun time. I found it very compelling.
Mm.
Um, and I think the marketing is also very interesting just based on how hard they went.
Yeah. I'd be inclined to agree. I felt like I knew I'd like this movie, but I don't know what the quotes you pulled before, Steph, about like boy bands kind of just draw people. I agree, they do. Because I kind of just knew this movie was gonna be a hit because there was boy bands in it.
Yes.
And I loved it. It was fun. It was a really fun watch, really entertaining. Marketing was really cool to learn. Again, seeing like how many pies they had their thumbs in and seeing it
Yeah.
all come together was really, really, really cool.
Yes,
So
100%.
so yeah, but I think that wraps us up. So, thank you all for listening to our episode. We appreciate it. Leave us a like and a comment and a Q&A if you can, please. We do read them, and give us a recommendation. We've gone through a lot of them, and we're whittling down. So maybe you guys, if you have anything you want us to review, add them in.
Let us know.
Let us know,
Yeah.
because we will. And then we have a Instagram and a TikTok. Yes, they're not used very often. We haven't posted much on there, but we might.
We're busy. Sorry.
We are busy people, but it's okay. Stephanie's movie review, all one word, other tags. But yeah, I think that wraps us up.
Yeah. And if nothing else, outro.